To achieve this, we immediately require the alliance of the four great powers: the United States, China, Russia, and India. These powers represent the necessary force to squash empire and organize a world of sovereign nations with sovereign currencies. Once rid of the supranational monetary system of globalization, development of the world population can begin.
I think the African Union has to support LaRouche's initiative of the Four Powers Agreement as something that has to be done in the short term.
The G20, they just had a meeting, and I wonder whether they are aware of some of these very important proposals that Mr. LaRouche has put forth.
We must work together. And these are the elements of where the population is. China knows very well from where they were 40 years ago, and so India knows where they were 30 years ago. And they have the tools and the knowledge and the experience to lift the rest of us in Africa so that we come to par. We are all at par, and we all have the same citizen of the same world, then definitely we will have a good economic system.
Let's take the case of the recent agreement between Russia and China, a historic agreement which took place a few days after my attendance at the Rose Conference. Now, they came into an agreement which, if extended to include India, and there are negotiations to that effect, and if the United States were to train Obama to walk on two legs instead of all fours, the United States would join.
Were the United States, China, Russia, and India to enter into the proper negotiations to put an end to the current usurious monetarist system and opt for a new system based on cheap international credits, then capital goods could be exported to the nations of Africa and credit could be made available for the kind of infrastructure projects Africa requires. Similarly, the production of capital goods would advance the productive capabilities of the Big Four. The investment into long-term development projects in Africa would increase the skill level and labor powers of the African workers and bring greater efficiencies in production and wealth to the Big Four nations and the rest of the world as well. Within such an arrangement, the governing principle would be development for the benefit of the other, to bring wealth and prosperity to all. Ending human slavery and developing Africa is a benefit to all mankind. When the British Empire and its globalization are removed from the world picture once and for all, the potential of Africa and the world are at last unleashed.
Certainly, Africa cannot ignore space exploration, but at the moment, technologically, it's just something that they're not taking as one of their priorities.
The best thing you could possibly do to eliminate the British oligarchy, the British Empire in our own minds, is to have something like the Mars program.
Africa is far, far too underpopulated right now for us to sustain a real extraterrestrial imperative. The educational and economic levels are obviously far behind where they need to be for us as a species to be able to maintain an extraterrestrial imperative. So under those conditions, Africa is going to have to play a major role. And the Africa that the African continent you'll be seeing, and the world you'll be seeing under those circumstances, is going to be very different than the one of today. In some ways, almost unimaginably different.
So therefore, what we can do on Earth is limited to what we can do outside Earth. So what you need is a driver program which increases man's power per capita over the universe in such a rate that these problems are automatically solved. If you want the kind of technology that can deal with the problems on Earth 75 years from now, or 100 years from now, whatever it is, then you're going to have flight between Earth orbit and Mars orbit.
The process of human creative and economic development is not a process confined to our Earth, but rather is a cosmic phenomenon. With mankind's entry into the space age, human economy has extended out of the Earth's atmosphere and into the solar system. The whole of geological, chemical, and biological development on Earth occurred with humans in mind, so that we could conquer the cosmos. This step in mankind's progress cannot be seen as a mere humanitarian effort. It is a necessary evolutionary development for our species and this universe as a whole. To formulate any effective policy in the present, we must ask, where must mankind be 50 to 100 years from now? The necessary procession of policy steps can be determined by referencing that mission. In this case, we speak of a manned mission to Mars.
The way we're going to solve the problem on Earth is by becoming man in the solar system as opposed to man confined to the Earth. And then the racial power per capita of mankind will enable us to do all these kinds of things. And that will be translated back into the conditions on Earth because man will be a much more powerful species per capita by these methods.
Okay. Beautiful.
Have fun.
Sigeleli Africa, malupaganisu pondoloyo, izwa imitandazo yetu, Kosi sigelela, Kosi sigelela, Kosi sigeleli Africa, malupaganisu pondoloyo, izwa imitandazo yetu, Kosi sigelela.
We need to implement the idea of humanity, that all men are born equal and free, and they can enjoy all the fruits of the earth together.
The place where the breakthrough will be made in the biological front is only going to be found really in space, to be put in the stars.
The people have not been destroyed, despite having destroyed the economy, the physical economy. The people would have to rebuild that, and they would jump on the opportunity.
A lot of leaders are setting their sights on that eventual unification of the African continent.